in this sketch, I'm really going to be sketching, and it's kind of a slower pace than normal. I'm thinking about some ideas. This concept called the MeWe principle. These are just some building block ideas. So we have the I. How does I fit into a sentence? Let's think about this sentence. I know you, period. The I is what we call the subject of the sentence. The I is the actor, and you is what we call the direct object. And so the subject is the actor who acts upon the direct object. I know you. And this right here is what we call the verb. Or, if you want to get technical about it, it is the predicate. So let's see what happens if we switch out some of our verbs. I hit you. I love you. I own you. It's interesting when you really think about it, the implications of that. But let's stick with this one. I know you. The I is the subject, the actor, and there's some implications about I. The thing about I in this modern Western world that we live in is that I is individual, isolated, island. Just some interesting correlations. I don't know if that really means anything, but the point that I want us to look at here is that the individual I has a hard boundary around it. And this is a key concept in the modern Western world. These are rigid boundaries where the other, that which is not the I, has a tendency to bounce off of this rigid boundary of the I. And there is the illusion for the I that the I is somehow breathing different air. So let me grab an airbrush over here, and I'll choose a nice air color. And so here's air out here, right? The air of the world outside of the I. And somehow the I is breathing, maybe this celestial, golden, perfect air of itself, as if it isn't a detached observer, so that the I can, here we've got the I can look out onto the object. Okay, so now we can move the I around. Let's talk about the grammar of a different word. Okay, sketch a little bit here. Got some words emerging. Let's put some eyeballs on there. Choose a little green. Another eyeball will be good. All right, there we go. Let's talk about the grammar of me. How does me fit into a sentence? Let's bring the me over here, and we'll pull up our text again. You know me. So how does this fit? So what we've got is the you is now the subject, and me, the object. And so you know me. And the point I'm trying to make here is that when we think about ourself, do we think about ourself as an I, bing, or a me? Then I, first of all, I is out of the picture, and me receives from the other. So that's an important thing, that we are taking ourselves out of the driver's seat. Now here's a cool thing. Here's where we get into the point of all of this. If I invert me, I get we. And I think that's just kind of cool. And when I think about we, when you think about God, Is God an I? God is not an I. God is actually more like this, a collection of three I's, where we have God, which has been known as Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Now these are the traditional ancient words that are very admittedly masculinist, because God is not a man. God is creator. Male and female are in the image of God. And so let's try maybe an alternate word for Father. Maybe source, and for the Son we can try incarnate, and let's narrow down and make it just the Spirit. Three I's that are interconnected. And what's really cool is that when you look at this picture, I'm just noticing this, so it's not intended, but I love it, is, let me get out my airbrush. Right here, you see what's happening? What has traditionally come to be known as the symbol of the Trinity. That's very, very cool. And so, speaking of the Trinity, I'm going to bring up this picture. So what I'm talking about is the me-we principle of the Trinity. So we can place the persons of the Trinity into their sections. And this is a Celtic knot. And what I really love about this is that these are not separate I's. And you see, you can't tell where they begin and where they end. See, God is not this. God is we. And so here's where I'm going with the me-we principle. What we've got is we've got we, which is God. We creates me. And that's really the basis of the me-we principle, is that God is we creates me. But me is not an isolated self, but me becomes the I that is connected to the we. And so it's really all about we. There is no I, there is only we and me.